And welcome back, everyone, to Strange Planet Podcast. And today we're going to do something a little different because I'm going to introduce a new game called American Rights Roulette. And what is that, you might ask? Well, seems like every time, well, at least in recent news, every time there is a Republican president, primarily Trump in this particular situation, someone loses a right. Now, we know Americans have amnesia and they're not too with it when it comes to recent events. They tend to forget really quick. So yeah, women had lost their reproductive rights last term. So this time we're going to spin the wheel, and I'm going to ask you guys in particular, and you guys at home, feel free to leave a comment. What right do you think they're going to take away this time?
Well, I think one of the first rights that's going to be attacked is anti-discrimination.
Okay.
And so make no mistake about it, it's in Project 2025. And we already know that the conservatives are very, and I don't want to give them this word, but they're anti-woke, and they're like obsessed with that word, and they're obsessed with DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. They're very intent on eliminating opportunities for people of color and minorities. I think that is, and not just so. So one of the things that Project 2025 promises to do is to eliminate all of the data that we collect in order to determine whether or not there's discrimination. And so this isn't even like, oh, we're doing things with the data. This is like, is there discrimination going on that can be proven through data? We won't know that anymore. It's going to be gone. And for anyone that doubts that discrimination still exists, you can look as recently as the housing crisis, where it was shown that by data that subprime mortgages were primarily targeted to minorities. And so even with the same income and background, and trying to purchase the same housing, blacks were being steered into loans that had worse terms. They were not offered the same terms that white people were offered, and that led to higher interest rates and higher payments, basically, in order to borrow money. And a lot of those subprime loans were things that people defaulted on, and that contributed to the economic crisis in 2008. And so without data like that, that's collected and analyzed, we won't know about those things.
I was just going to say, hey, how would you know? You can't. What do you think, Mark? What's going to be what's on the top of your list that you think that is going to be removed?
Top of the list. What are they going to go after next?
Remember, women's reproductive rights is already off.
Yeah, that's already gone. That's already off the table. Yeah.
Hopefully one day it'll come back, but it doesn't look like in the near future it's going to.
Well, they might just go after the First Amendment.
You think the freedom of speech?
Yep.
I mean, it's possible. I wouldn't rule anything out at this point. Put it that way.
Yeah,
it's sad as it is.
This is supposed to be for a man who's a giant man-child who can take zero criticism of himself and wants to be king of the world, basically.
All right.
And that's a rough paint job, but you get the idea.
Yeah, no, that's a suitable answer. And if I were to throw my hat into the bag here, I'm going to say healthcare.
Well, before you jump to that, let me just follow up.
Okay, continue.
The First Amendment. If you recall, Trump is very thin-skinned when it comes to the media reporting on him. And when he was in the White House, he didn't call on people who would have opposing views, and in some cases, he would just, you know, ban them or get them thrown out of the White House press corps. So in this term, he probably won't take any of that shit at all. And
Mm.
you'll see uh, different networks try to uh, placate him by not reporting anything bad against him, or not asking him tough questions that he doesn't want to answer,
Or he can't answer.
or people that don't flatter him. And I think you're going to see a lot more of that this term.
Hmm.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
and it's going to be interesting to see how our press handle this, because you have your Fox Newses and what is that other one? The Sky, not Sky.
Because OAN was another one, I think.
Right.
Other
But
whack jobs. Yeah.
there's another major network that
Spews
back
his bullshit.
their news from, that's even more extreme than Fox. I don't tend to watch any of that shit.
No,
I used to flip through and watch Fox, but it really is poison for your mind. It
entirely.
really is, because you have the same lies repeated over and over until you believe that there's some kernel of truth to them when there's actually not.
At all, too.
Um,
Like,
but
That's what we're going for.
go on. You were gonna say healthcare.
but yeah, that's what I think is also on the list. And sadly, I think one of the primary reasons why he wants to eliminate the Affordable Care Act is because of Obama. Simple and plain. Does he have any plan or anything to to put something in place? He's got concepts, last I heard. But let's just say that if he actually does get rid of it this time, there will be nothing in place. Maybe a body bag, but that's about it.
I've
So,
never seen someone more obsessed with another person in my life.
right?
You think he'd be outside of friggin' Obama's house, like, I need you back. Oh, you were such a big part of my life. You're like the other me.
The funny thing is, he'll never amount to what Obama actually was, too. He's
So
actually going
so
further the other way, if anything.
Yeah,
so what I think in terms of healthcare is that he tried it last time and failed.
60 times.
yeah.
Yeah, he failed. And so I think he knows how much having healthcare means to people. And perhaps that'll be a third rail that he won't touch or
I'm
won't
hoping you're right.
mess with too much. Obamacare has been in place for more than a decade now,
Yeah. Right.
and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. People like having health care, and I don't think that there are other um, things that Republicans would like to get done that I think would take priority over a big push in, the House and Senate to eliminate the Affordable Care Act. And they're still coming up with their concepts of a plan for replacement, which hasn't, there's no policy there.
Don't
And
hold your breath.
so
Yeah.
I think the American people would be very upset at that. There are other priorities that I think they have, such as immigration. Um, it's not just uh, American rights, but it's human rights. I think that you're going to see massive human rights violations inside America on America's watch
Hmm.
when he implements his deportation program. He said it has no price tag, and he is just going to round up people, put them in cages, and remove them from the country.
Wow.
Uh, the last person that tried to do that on such a massive scale.
Hmm.
Think
Wonder who that was.
think you need to go to 1930s Germany to
Germany. Yep.
an analog for that.
It's sad that we're actually in 2025 comparing us to that.
And keep in mind that he's been whipping up hatred for these people throughout the campaign, which is the
Jesus.
same thing that a certain elected leader turned dictator did in 1930s Germany. He he whipped his base and the population up into a frenzy and blamed certain people for the economic struggles of the country.
Right.
And I think you'll see something similar, unfortunately, unfold here. Whether or not there is, uh, I don't know if there are going to be gas chambers or things of that nature, but you're definitely going to see inhumane practices in terms of the because when you have something on such a massive scale and you don't have adequate resources to care for those people in a humane way, that is it's going to be open the floodgates for abuse.
Right.
And I know a lot of Republicans, MAGA Republicans, they really don't care because they've already been trained to see these people as less than human.
Yeah. Or the enemy.
And, and that is going to be, I think, our task as Americans to keep a watchful eye on that and to, to speak out against it because we can't let that happen on our watch.
No, definitely not. And I feel like adding to what you're saying, we're probably about this close to having like, for lack of a better way of putting it, I would say almost concentration camps for these immigrants at this rate, the way we're wording things here. You know what I mean? Now, don't
Well,
get me wrong, like you said, there probably won't be gas chambers and things like that, but you don't need a gas chamber to have a concentration camp. You know what I mean? So,
no, at first, Hitler's plan was to, and I said his name, Hitler.
right,
His plan was to round up Jewish and other people that he deemed responsible for Germany's struggles. They lost World War I and had to pay all these reparations because they lost, and there was massive inflation, and so people were upset, and they chose to, scapegoat Jewish people and uh, homosexuals and other disabled people. They chose to just say these people are, draining our society, and he used all types of rhetoric, which was similar to the type of rhetoric that Trump used,
pretty
and
much.
and he created an environment in which Germans saw Jewish people as less than human. And there was a lot of hatred and there was a lot of animosity toward Jewish people, such that you could pull off a thing like round up, as many as you can and treat them humanely. And then when it came to what was called the final solution, which was executing as many Jews as possible, you know, in terms of fighting a war and funding it, um, and in terms of Germany's ongoing economic struggles, it really became cost effective for them to just eliminate and kill Jewish people and others in those concentration camps, and create what were known as death camps, where
Yep.
we're not even going to send them to concentration camps to work. We're going to send them straight to the showers, and so that we have a somewhat similar sort of setup here. you know, our economy is nowhere near as bad as Germany's was. yeah, some prices of goods may be a little high, but if you throw in Trump's tariffs, if you throw in, um, the disasters that his appointments are going to cause at our federal agencies, which we'll get into in a few.
A little bit here, right?
Um, I think there is a potential for, massive economic struggle in this country, and that will create the type of environment where scapegoating someone for that, which he's already set up, it's going to be easy. Now, if he starts rounding up people who are integral in our food supply, in terms of agriculture, like agricultural migrant workers who, provide us with our fruit and vegetables and whatnot, you're going to see the prices of those go up.
Yep.
Um, and then he'll say, "Oh, it's their fault."
Right.
Well,
Like
actually, it's
what?
kind of your fault because you took them away from their jobs and rounded them up. But you're going to see, um, you know, an environment in which, something like what happened in Germany can happen here. Like I said, we have to be vigilant about, you know, pointing that out and preventing it from happening to the extent that we can, when we're not, in power and government.
Right. And I think I said a few weeks ago, I'm not 100% sure, but I said something along the lines of how, for some reason, Americans only learn, or it could even be just be humanity, but in this case, it's Americans. They only learn after the devastation hits. And then they realize, oh shit, we fucked up. We should fix this. Right now is when the devastation is basically going to start. So, in a sense, you could say it's too late, but staying vigilant, like you said, is one of the only things you kind of can do right now. But
Well,
hopefully,
it is too late to do anything about it right now for the most part. We had the election. The Republicans won not only the presidency, but the House and Senate too. And so for the next 2 years, Trump and the Supreme Court is already in Trump's bag. He set it up the last time. And so you're going to have a situation in which Trump is going to have unchecked power. Uh, the Supreme Court already said that Trump can do whatever he wants without fear of criminal prosecution, as long as he cloaks it in the, you know, puts it in or as long as he cloaks it in a guise of official presidential power, he can do essentially whatever he wants. So as long as he orders someone to do something, in his official capacity as president, executive order, whatever, then that cannot be prosecuted criminally. And the only way that you can resolve that is with impeachment. And we already know the Republicans aren't going to go for that.
nope, you got
Uh,
that right.
we don't. We would have to start it in the House, which the Republicans and the MAGA Republicans control now. Speaker Mike Johnson is not going to go for that. And then in the Senate, it takes 2/3 to convict. We couldn't even do that when we had Democrats in the majority. Now the Republicans are going to be in the majority, and they're probably just going to look at the. I mean, it's not even going to get there, but let's just say hypothetically, for shits and giggles, that it does get to the Senate. They won't even take it up, just like Mitch McConnell when he was in power. And Mitch McConnell is now like almost like a sympathetic figure because he
Right.
criticized Trump, but even he did not, have the courage to take up the impeachment that was sent to him by the House. He said, "Oh well, yeah, I'm not. It's too little time to do it." Well, I mean, he started an insurrection on this day. He deserves to be impeached, and I mean, it's just I don't know. definitely going to be, um, we're going to have to go through at least 2 years of severe pain.
Yep,
Um,
that's putting
and
it
it's going
lightly.
before we're able to even do anything about slowing the pain or treating the damage that has been done. And it's going to be 4 years before we're able to do anything about it, because, in a Trump presidency, he is probably going to act without consequence because already, as I said, the Supreme Court's not going to do anything about it.
Right.
So what does he care?
Remember, like in history, they talked about the fall of the Roman Empire. I hate to say, but this is starting to sound like the fall of the American Empire. It's not good, and there's not much any of us can do about it right now besides sit and watch it burn. All right, so I guess moving forward, we're going to briefly talk a little bit about the atrocious cabinet choices that are now in place. And Rook, would you enlighten us on the destruction that lies ahead?
Well, um, so last administration, you had an interesting cast of characters, very unconventional picks. And if you thought those were batshit crazy,
Hold on to your seat.
we have something in store for you. So, I mean, Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, not the worst choice in the world. I mean, he's a sitting senator. He's a more conventional choice. But then you have I forget his name, but some Fox News host. He was a veteran of the National Guard, but like uh he definitely does not have any experience in terms of uh, the military experience needed to lead the department or any like executive experience.
It's the
Uh,
Trump
lead,
administration.
lead,
No experience is
lead
required.
$500 billion department. I think that is going to be definitely a shit show. You have Matt Gaetz to lead the Department of Justice.
I'm going to stop you right
Um,
there. The Department of Justice is definitely not within 100 feet of a school, though, is it?
Yeah,
it is not, but
yeah, but when take kids to work day happens, it's going to be a real shit show.
but
Ever hit around?
yeah, no, but he actually was definitely under investigation by the Department of Justice, and actually he resigned his seat this week shortly after the announcement, because in a couple of days the uh, House Ethics Committee, which is a bipartisan committee, equal parts Democrat and Republican, we're going to vote on releasing the report of its own investigation of Matt Gaetz. And word on the street is that it isn't a very flattering one to him. And you even have Republican lawmakers insisting on seeing the contents of that report before voting on confirmation for Matt Gaetz. And Matt Gaetz, he's a lawyer, but he has no prosecutorial experience. He has no executive experience. So how is he going to lead a department of prosecutors?
Who
It doesn't
knows?
make sense. And then, of course, you have uh, RFK Jr., who basically sold himself to the highest bidder. He went to both the Harris and the Trump campaign and said, "Hey, I'll, you know, if you give me a position, I will basically endorse you." And the Harris campaign said, "Yeah, we don't want that kind of crazy in our administration." And so, guess who accepted him? Donald Trump. And now he's
Shocking.
going to be nominated for the Secretary of Health and Human Services. And for those who don't know, He's been kind of crazy on a lot of health issues,
Like
including
vaccines.
vaccinations. He thinks that vaccinations cause autism, which there hasn't really been any evidence of that.
Nope.
And he tries to like play it down, like, "Oh, I'm not in favor of, uh, I'm not anti-vaccine. I just don't like any of the vaccines we have now." That's essentially his position.
That's just half a
Um,
brain talking.
yeah, and he's just completely out there on a lot of topics. And again, like he's an environmental lawyer. He has no business. He's not a doctor. He's not. He has no history in the medical profession. He just eats conspiracy theories that he hears,
Yeah, so he
and
doesn't belong.
apparently that's good enough to, take care of Americans' health and research about diseases and take care of America's food and drugs. I mean, it's going to be absolutely disastrous in Trump's second term due to his picks, and there's more to come.
Oh yeah, it's not over yet, unfortunately.
All I got for that, guys, is one word: Chevron. When the Supreme Court overturned Chevron, which is a long-standing whatever, it was just something that had us go to experts for information on laws and stuff like that. Now anybody can have their own stupid opinion. So Matt Gaetz would be perfect for the DOJ apparently now.
Experience is
Well,
not required. Remember. Go ahead.
That's the
but
rules now.
Yeah.
what Chevron did was it said that agencies are sort of the experts at what they do, and when Congress writes laws, they a lot of times leave things ambiguous and up to interpretation for agencies to come in and fill in that with their expertise as to how to go about implementing the law. And what the Supreme Court said when they eliminated the Chevron deference precedent was they said, you know what? We know better as the Supreme Court, who has no expertise whatsoever. I mean, even Congress, they're into policy, they have staff and they can do some research, but really what goes on in these agencies is they have career civil servants who are dedicated to doing very specific things for their entire career. And so what the Supreme Court said was like, you know what? We know better as the Supreme Court. We are going to administer agency policy when it's ambiguous, and we'll decide, what the policy choice is as a court. Um, and that is even going to be more problematic because you have Project 2025, which will aims to eliminate a lot of the civil service experts. So you're going to have those experts leaving agencies, especially under these crazy new heads of the agencies that Trump is planning to appoint. And, then you have also couple that with the new agency that Trump is creating for government efficiency, headed up by Elon Musk, which also aims to streamline the government. You're going to have a massive, massive exodus of expertise and this is institutional expertise that goes back over decades, knowledge passed down. Um, that's why people complain about the government, but they genuinely don't understand how complex the world is and how um, you know there are people who dedicate their lives to serving the public and develop the expertise needed to confront these challenges. So you're going to have between Elon Musk and his new agency aimed at streamlining government, which Um, yeah, and the uh, Chevron deference precedent being gone, and these new heads of agency who may or may not believe in the agency that they're running, or that have no experience running an agency of that sort, or even working there, or even like in RFK's case, he's not even remotely knowledgeable about the subject and the issues that the agency deals with. You're just
Boy.
it's going to be a disaster, not only for Trump's administration, but for years to come.
Yeah, because it'll have a ripple effect.
Once that talent leaves, they may get other jobs elsewhere. And why would you want to go back to something where in 4 years they could put someone completely unqualified who will run the agency into the ground again?
Mm.
Um,
There was a rally that Musk attended, and somebody asked him, "Hey, how much do you think you can take off the budget?" He's like, "It's supposed to be like a $3 trillion deficit or budget or whatever." He's like, "Yeah, I could like slash 2 trillion." Well, apparently, if you fired everybody, all the civil servants, that's only about a third of $1 trillion, if that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know what kind of crap he thinks he's going to do. He's not
Right.
even supposed to be in this country right now.
I'll tell you another thing, though, from what it sounds like here, we might be at the, I would say, calm before the storm. In that,
Yeah.
if this goes the way we're saying, which is what it's looking like, how many of these institutions and things are going to be, you think, destroyed if we allow this for 4 years?
All of them.
Like, yeah, I almost think it's almost unsavable to save any of this, really, because it almost seems like by default they want these things to fail for some reason. Because why would you put these people, some of the people that don't even believe in the institutions that they're serving? You know what I mean? So what the fuck? You
Hail
know what
the
I mean?
God King.
Like, I
That's
don't
the
get it. It's
that's
like
their
setting
purpose.
itself up for failure, if I'm not mistaken, anything here, right? Like, I feel like we have the facts here. So what the hell are we doing?
Watch, they're gonna blame the fucking Democrats the whole time.
Yeah, but they have
It's
all
their
the how
fault.
they have everything, so they can't. This is the one of the few times they can't. Well, they probably
oh, they
will.
will. They
Yeah,
will.
they will. That's a very
Exactly,
good
they
point.
will. Because it
Yeah, let
doesn't
me
matter.
slap myself there.
It doesn't matter what the we've learned over the last 8 years that it doesn't matter what the truth of it all is. It just matters what people believe.
Right,
Just
that's
keep
true.
shoving bullshit in their face. Eventually, they're gonna believe the bullshit.
Right, right. That's what we were saying here earlier, even in this episode. Well, probably for the past like year, but
It's not even necessarily that they have to believe the bullshit, but they just have to ignore any facts
Your
that
truth. Yep.
are contrary to their pre-existing beliefs.
right, right.
And it was funny when people were talking about, how did Trump become president with all the crap that he's done over the past however long. It's just like people will think what they want of their candidate, whether it's oh, he was joking about this and he was serious about that. We all know that he was serious about everything he said, with the exception of things he's going to do for other people. But all the name calling and what he thinks of people and what he wants to do when he really gets into office, that's all real. But like people will nitpick all the little things and be like, oh, "That's my candidate," when you only have half the story on their shit. And
Right,
it's
right.
misinformation everywhere.
I got another random question I'm going to throw out there, and some people are going to say, "Oh, well, he did last time, but did he?" Is my real question. Do you
Did
think
he?
he'll leave in 4 years?
No.
I don't either. Even though, like, technically it's a second term, so realistically, he has no choice. He can't serve a third term. You know what I mean? So, like, do you think he'll leave?
Congress and the House can change that. They can ratify it to be like, oh no, presidents can have a third term and a fourth term and be lifelong fucking position at that point.
Let's
Well,
really
look,
hope not. Let's hope there's an
look.
election involved.
But
So
he's got all
going,
the pieces in place. He's got the House, he's got the Senate, he's got the Supreme Court. What else do you need?
it would take a constitutional amendment to modify it so that he could run for a third term. However, if he is there and he refuses to leave, who's going to make him leave? The Supreme Court? Probably not. If he exercises presidential power to stay in office, they can't do anything, right?
Didn't he already try to do that though? But we got him kicked out anyway.
Didn't he what?
Didn't he try to do that last time and we got him out anyway?
No, I mean he left voluntarily after throwing that tantrum on January 6th. He did vacate the White House because people told him, "Dude, you gotta go." And so, but if he wanted to, with the new powers bestowed upon him by the Supreme Court, he could just stay there. And who's going to enforce him leaving? Will it be, the Supreme Court, who said he can exercise presidential power in any way he fit without prosecution, and the only way to, enforce it would be, I guess after the fact, or you would have an impeachment, and that would require a cooperative House and Senate. There's no real enforcement mechanism. We're going on sort of the honor system. So if he wanted to, he probably could stay as long as he wanted. And there's not much that we could do to stop that.
So there's a lot of trouble ahead, in other words, as if we didn't clarify that already. You know what I mean? But like it apparently there's no relief to the end of this, chaos. It just seems like it's only going to be increasingly getting worse between now and then. And then when we finally get there, will we even have a country anymore? I guess we're going to find out. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I never thought not only would we be talking like this, but that this country would be in this situation. I always thought we were smarter. Maybe I thought maybe that's what the problem was.
I would have to say it's more of just people's frustration with everything and them choosing different rather than right.
Yeah, that's not probably too far off. I mean, it makes sense.
I mean, a lot of them are all misinformed.
Almost all of them at this point.
Yeah, almost all of them at this point. Why would you vote third party if you didn't want to vote for Donald Trump, knowing that the state you're in is a red state?
None of it adds up. That's for damn sure. And that's all we got for this week. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Strange Planet Podcast will have new episodes every Friday on YouTube. And may God help us all. Peace. Thanks for watching.